We've made it to December, and we're going to talk about the December market trends. We actually have some changes that we need to share because some stuff has started to change in the market, and that's a good thing. So we're going to talk through some of that, and then we're also going to look at forecasting. Listen, we've been doing trends all year this year to see where's the market trending. Now we're going to start projecting for next year, and we're going to go over the benchmark forecast for 2024. What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas. We've made it to December. We've made it to the holidays, and everybody's so excited, I know, because we get vacations and spend time with family, lots of stuff like that. So super exciting. But before we get into anything for the market trends or the forecast for next year, if you find value in these videos, would you like the videos? Would you share it with your friends? Trying to be a resource, trying to be here to help people. I would appreciate it. But let's get right into it. All right, so we're going to get right into it. So we're going to start where we always start, with the market trends of how many homes are on the market. Last month, we had just over 15,800 homes. This month, we have just over 15,600 homes. So we've actually gone down, and that's a different trend from normal. We have been gaining homes, usually around 1,000 homes a month. And so it's one of those that now we've actually lost a little bit. Now, part of that is the holidays, but we've also seen sales uptick. So like when I talked last month, our sales were down. We were below 1,000 transactions a month, and that was low. Now we're up over 1,000 again. So we've seen it pick back up. So it's one of those, the holidays are going to play into it. We'll slow down as we get closer to Christmas a little bit, but we have not seen as much gain, which means people are starting to come back in the market. But why is that? Part of it is interest rates. Now, you'll remember back in, I believe it was September, October, we had 8% interest rates, right? It was super high. That was the peak. We hit it. And now we've been slowly coming down. We were in the mid sevens, then we were in the like 7.3, 7.2, and some people started coming back in the market because they could afford to. Well, now we have some major changes in interest rates where it's like, whoa, because the Fed has pretty much started to hint at, hey, we're not going to be raising interest rates anymore. And so the market's responding. So this happened yesterday. Now I'm recording this on Friday, so this is going to be released on Monday, okay? But we were sitting at a conventional loan, like the average conventional loan was just over 7%. So it was like 7.1-ish. And now it is at 6.6. It dropped in one day. It happened yesterday on Thursday, the 14th. And I was just like, wait, what? Like, I wasn't expecting that. I just wasn't. I wasn't expecting that kind of a drop. And with FHA loans, we saw it go from about 6.6, 6.7 to 6.1 now. So that's where it is this morning. And that's a major change. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the interest rates in the forecast part and give some data. And again, I'm going to give a lot of different screenshots and different things from websites. I'll put all that in the description, so check that out. But this was interesting because we're seeing interest rates drop. So now we're definitely in the sixes. For conventional loans, we're in the mid sixes, and for FHA, we're in the low sixes. That's a big change. So that's where we're going to start seeing, especially in January, how this is going to play out for the market trends, because we've been seeing this where now we've slowly been dropping. Now it kind of dropped. And it's like, oh, okay. So how does this affect next year? So that's what we're going to talk about for the benchmark forecast for 2024. All right, so here we are, the benchmark forecast for 2024. So I'm going to go over a lot of different things because for me, I take into account more than just real estate when I'm looking at projections for next year. Because the reality is I'm looking at the economy, I'm looking at inflation, I'm looking at debt, I'm looking at a lot of different things because I want to look at the whole picture. So I'm going to share a lot of this with you. Whatever I put on the screen, I'll actually share the links in the description. That way you guys can check it out for yourself. And there's more websites than just that you can pull from, okay? So the biggest first thing I'm looking at is inflation, right? So inflation is at 3.1% as of, I think that was November. So the December report doesn't come out till January. So with inflation still being at 3.1%, they want it to be at 2%. So the Fed has said, hey, we're not raising interest rates, but they're not lowering them yet either because they need to bring inflation down. They're hoping to be in the 2% range by middle of next year. Hopefully that happens because we want that to happen. We need inflation to come down. So they're holding interest rates for right now. So that's a good thing that they're holding it. They're not lowering it because we don't want them to lower it until inflation's getting closer to 2%. So with inflation still being there, all right, what else do we look at? We're looking at debt. So one of the things I look at with debt is right now with credit card debt, we're sitting at around $1.1 trillion. Car loan debt, we're sitting at about $1.6 trillion. That's a lot of money. And when you actually look at how many, like I looked up the average person in Arizona, and Arizona ranks 23rd in credit card debt in the nation. So we're in the middle. But the average person is just over $7,000 in credit card debt in Arizona. Okay. So $7,000, I thought that number would be higher, but it's not. But $7,000 is still a good amount of money. So it's like, okay, we have $7,000 credit card debt, with $1.6 trillion in car loans. That's nuts. The average car loan payment is around $700. That's really high too. I see people right now that are buying cars and they're having a $1,200 payment a month. And I'm like, okay, that was a bad decision. Now, maybe people have the money for it, but geez, that sounds like a bad decision. But one of the issues we're seeing is we were coming from a time where we had super low interest rates for several years, and then we had stimulus checks from the government because of COVID, and people have been kind of loose with money and they need to tighten their purses. So the debt we need to kind of watch for, because it's like, okay, is that going to play a factor? Because credit card interest rates right now are over 20%. That's crazy that they're over 20%. So that is going to play a factor. If you have $7,000 in debt that you're not paying off, or maybe you're paying off slowly, that 20% is going to add up. It's going to keep adding to your debt. So something to watch for 2024, because that's a lot. That's where we have the highest amounts of debt in history. So we need to be watching that stuff. But when it comes to real estate, for forecasting for next year, now again, no one has a crystal ball. No one knows exactly what's going to happen. But we're looking at these trends with the economy and where things are trending, with interest rates, where they're trending. Okay, what's going to happen next year? So I listen to a guy, Brian Buffini. He talks about this a good amount. He does a projection show every year, and they've been fairly accurate. And that's one of the reasons I watch them, because they're trying to take historical data. They're trying to take a lot of different things like that to project. So one of the things they're projecting, obviously this year we had super high interest rates. We had the peak in interest rates at 8%. It's really high. It's really high for interest rates, and now they've been slowly coming down. So they're projecting for next year that we're going to be in the high fives, 5.75%, give or take. And then they're saying in 2025, we're going to be in the mid to low fives. Now, again, no one has a crystal ball, but those are decent projections. And I would have been more bearish on that until yesterday, when rates dropped 0.4 percentage points. And I was like, whoa, we went from over 7% to 6.6. That's crazy. And FHA is even lower than that. Okay. So as we start dropping interest rates, it's going to start making it more affordable for more people. Okay. And so this is where, with the forecasting part of this, I was very bearish on this. I thought it was going to take much longer, and apparently it's not. Now, do I think that they're going to keep dropping at 0.4% with mortgage rates? No, I don't. I think they're going to slowly do it more. And interest rates always do this. Up and down, depending on the day. They change every day. But with projecting that stuff, we have seen, and he talks about in his show, and I'll put the video of him in the description so you can check it out. But one of the things he talks about is new homes have been kind of showing people the way. So new builds, right? They've been doing this thing where they're buying interest rates down. So they're buying interest rates down, offering it to people through their lender. And so I've seen interest rates of 5.5, 5.25, 4.99 that they're offering for their inventory, because they're trying to clear their inventory. And people are gobbling it up. Like, shoot, I saw 4.99 and those houses were gone, because people see a 4 and they're like, wah, and they freak out. So we know that buyers are coming back in the market at those percentages, at the 4.99 to 5.5 in the fives. And so what we're seeing is, okay, if interest rates are going to keep coming down, people are going to come back in the market. And even eventually sellers are going to come into the market. People haven't been selling at normal rates. Eventually they're going to come back in, whether they need to downsize or get a bigger house or they need to move or whatever it is. We're going to see some of that probably next year. And we're probably going to see it in the summer of next year. For me, that's where I'm seeing is the summer of next year. This is when a lot of this is going to come to head. First quarter is probably going to be a little slow, where you can still get stuff from sellers, and then we're going to start seeing buyers come back in. Because one of the factors, I did another video on this, is millennials are really coming into being the prime home buying age, where they have good jobs, they're getting better jobs, and they're able to get homes. So I think he said on his video, there's like 72 million millennials. And a lot of them are coming into the prime home buying age, where people want homes. And so that's something to take into account. So what we're probably going to see is interest rates keep coming down next year. I think by the summer, we'll see them probably keep coming down more, hopefully in the high fives, low sixes. For conventional, FHA is always lower than the conventional, so that's going to keep going. So that's a good change for people. But here's where I tell people, like, if you're looking to buy next year or in the year after that, you don't want to wait too long. Now, I'm not going to use fear and be like, interest rates are dropping, you have to buy now. Like, I'm not going to say that. But what I will tell you is you don't want to wait too long, because the reality is if interest rates do keep dropping, I know tons of people that have been waiting for interest rates to come back down, because the difference between like a 7.5% interest rate to 5.5% interest rate is $500 or $600 a month. That's a lot of money. And so when that changes, people are ready to come back in because they can afford to. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, I would love to talk with you, because it's one of those, it is about your situation. Everyone's situation is not the same. It's about doing what's best for you. So maybe right this instant isn't the right time, but maybe in a couple of months it is, or maybe in 6 months it is. Let's have that conversation. My information's below. I would love to talk with you. Guys, you've been listening to The Real.